pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Under public comment this evening, if I could start with Putnam High School. And I have a special troop of kids here tonight that won their manufacturing expo at Normbach Valley Community College. I am thankful that I was invited out to the college, and I didn't get to see the whole program, but I was there to see them win the award. And without further ado, I'm going to bring up Amy Beth St. Martin. Amy, there you are. If you come forward, please.
My kids worked all semester on creating a product, and what it is we are teamed up, local schools are teamed up with local manufacturing companies. And we work together to create a product from scratch, and then we try to, in the end, have an end product that we can sell. The students worked extremely hard all semester, and they're going to share with you the product that they created from scratch, and we are selling the product, which they will share with you. So thank you.
Absolutely.
You must be the salesman, right?
Yeah, I guess
If you could just introduce yourselves.
I'm Connor McNulty.
I'm Ryan Stocks.
I'm Alec Fontaine. There are 3 speakers at the assembly. So our product is the Safe Straight, and we had a whole team design it. So there's a class of 16 students. And I'd like to take a moment to just give everyone credit. So first, Alex Adams, Kelsey Vidi.
There's Stephen Bettner.
It's Albert Russo, Brian Clifford,
Emma Deary.
Kim Dysinger, who's our PowerPoint operator.
Alec
Deontay Fitzgerald,
Alec Fontaine.
Darren Jewell, Dylan Machado,
Connor.
Ryan, Travis Stringer, Sawyer, Jessica Walker, and Mrs. Amy St. Martin.
Okay, so we were Putnam High School's marketing class. We consisted of 16 students. We were freshmen through seniors, all scattered like that. And with safety concerns in our hearts through the recent fires that went on in Putnam, we set out to develop a product that would improve the quality of life with respect to fire safety.
We teamed up with Putnam Precision Molding, and we worked hard with Mr. Rick Tufo, and he was basically there the whole time, every minute with us. And he's the controller. The general manager was Mr. Matt McKenney. The mold maker was Mr. Stanley Franklin. The CNC operator was Mr. Jeff Mayu. Process engineer was Mr. Roland Comtois. And the press operator was Ms. Edna Pipkins-LaPointe. And they went through all the steps of us related to the pallet manufacturing process work.
And we also teamed up with Unicorp Packaging, which is a packaging and cardboard creating company. They're right down near Passivatory Station and in the little industrial park like that down there. We worked with President Mr. Charlie Pius, plant manager Mr. Jeff Hopkins, who came to our school every Thursday to work with us to pick out our packaging, and a junior designer, Mr. Brandon Zurich, and the foam welder who helped make the boxes, Mr. Scott LaPrade.
The Putnam Precision Molding it's a custom performance plastic injection company. So basically, a lot of the plastic parts you see in printers and even in cars, that company helps make. And as you can see, they work with all different types of plastics, different types of molding, from 40 to 500 ton presses they use. It's pretty cool.
And Unicore, they are a multi-plant, family-owned, operated business. They specialize in protected packaging using corrugated, which is a certain type of cardboard, wood, and foam. They've been around here since 1946. They have 6 plants in 4 different states, employing 450 people, and the Putnam facility, which is 150,000 square feet, employs 95 people, which is great.
So we had weekly team meetings with both Unicore and Precision Molding. We learned the company's histories, discussed what the companies could do, toured the facilities, viewed both products by PPM and Unicore Packaging, and we held weekly team meetings.
So when we got there, we had to figure out how to actually make the product, and we had injection molding equipment overviews, and then Rick, the controller, told us all about marketing and how much it's going to cost and the actual price of the goods, the raw materials, things like that. And we just had cost overviews to make sure that we can make a profit.
And training that we received by Unicorn Packaging was printing and die cutting equipment overview. And it's basically just a huge table that the blades goes at, I don't know, 100 miles an hour. It just cut through the cardboard. It's pretty full of wash. Material training, packaging design and foam overview, heat welding, cost overview, and problem solving.
So product brainstorming, we had to brainstorm product ideas. We had to discuss product advantages and disadvantages. We had to decide whether it could be injection molded or not. Cost to make versus the selling price, need for the product, who would purchase the product, and where we would sell the product.
And before we actually did come up with the Safe Straight, we had to think of other ideas. We weren't really entirely sure what we could make, considering the limitations of our companies. But we thought of making a cell phone case, a board game, a cleat cover, and then we originally just decided on the hair straightener because both companies could make it and it worked out well like that.
And why we chose the hair straightener holder? It's safety, convenience, and practicality. To reduce the number of household fires caused by hair tools, such as hair straightener and curling irons. The need is in high demand. It's minimum cost, and it's a new improved product design, which is basically the theme of the exposition. Improving quality of life.
Yeah, and we also did some market research to determine whether or not this would actually sell. And we did a huge survey of the entire high school. We asked 300 students asking, do you or your family own a hair straightener or intend to purchase one? And 3/4 of people said yes. Would they buy this product? 70% of people said yes, so we knew it was a good idea. We knew we'd make money. And how much would they pay for this product? Percent said $10, 25% said $5, and 25% said $15. And we decided on the $10 selling point. Have you had any problems with the hair straightener? 35% said yes. And when we asked what colors, we got a huge assortment.
And our target market, it's anyone 12 and over. Hair salons, people, hotels and motels, so we could use our order form to sell bulk orders of the Safe Straight. And men buying the Safe Straight for women.
So the dimensions of the Safe Straight is 6 inches wide, 10 inches long, and 5/8 inches thick.
We had to make a SolidWorks design, which we basically planned out what it was going to look like, and we used the program SolidWorks to really make a 3D design of how it was going to look.
So the Safe Straight materials, it is made of an Orem regrind, which is a type of plastic that is super heat resistant up to 730 degrees, has a marble finish. It has high strength and tough mechanical properties. We actually had to pay about 12 cents per pound. And the 100 precision molding actually had 15,000 pounds available in the warehouse, which made it very cheap and affordable. The plastic is also used in electronic parts and mechanical parts, and also they use it in printer parts. Xerox is actually one of their main supplier.
And besides the Orem that we used, we had to get some other things. We had to get ripped silicone rubber feet, which we as a class actually attached to every single Safe Straight. And it was there, we would put them to the bottom so it wouldn't slip off your counter or anything like that.
As you see here, it's not going anywhere. This is
Pretty
your
sturdy.
house safe.
It'll stay right there.
And the mold, it was to make this, it was a aluminum core cavity, 2-plate steel frame. We tried, what was it that we tried? Oh, we stuck with aluminum, right?
Yeah, we just stuck
At first the mold didn't work out, so they had to make adjustments, and we were kind of scared, but
Yeah.
they got it. And the mold is made by PPM's Machine Shop.
Some of the learning experiences of product and mold design, we learned the manufacturing process, all the design process, the marketing that went into it, all the costing process and the selling process, troubleshooting, inspection, and teamwork.
So when we actually went to Putnam Precision Molding to watch them make the product, it started off with they had to set the mold to a 150-ton press, which is a lot of pressure, and they had to fill a hopper with plastic pellets, which then these plastic pellets would melt down and be injected into a cavity. and we would have to remove the part from the mold and then cut certain pieces of that off and let it cool. And this is
Then you cut this off. And sand, this is a prototype. As you can see, it's nothing like the assembly and packaging. We had to heat weld and assemble the E-style box, as you see here. And some of the students actually got to use it's basically a huge hair dryer, and it's very hot, and we got to use that to weld the foam together. Assemble the E-style box, glue silicone rubber feet, package the safe straight into the box, and they assemble the store displays, as you see there. That's if we got it into a department store, that's how you would see it. The material costs, the aluminum mold was $175. The Orem regrind was 18 cents per unit, so for safe straight. Solid E black box was $3.85. Recycled foam was 38 cents a roll. Rubber silicone was $6. Display cost was $24.43.
The cost breakdown to run the plastic molding machine was $45 per hour. The initial setup cost was $100. The die cut machine cost per hour is $1.33 per box. The foam die cut is $120. Welding foam cost is 17 cents, and the printing cost to print the packaging design is 64 cents per box.
And for a total cost, if we had produced 100 units, a safe straight we would have to pay $10.16 for one. But we decided that to make a profit, we would have to produce 250 safe straights at a price of $8.26 per unit, which means we would have $1.74 for us. And if we went all the way down, if we went to mass production, got 5,000 units, the price would drop to $6.51.
And we decided on a selling price of $10.
We thought it would be affordable for everyone, $10. It was acceptable. We would get a decent amount of profit from it.
Even made coupons to get $1 off, so.
Is that what you're going to hand out tonight?
We only have one, too.
Our profit is $1.74 per safe straight sold, and all proceeds go to a Putnam High School senior voter scholarship.
Why you should buy the safe straight? It'll protect your home and family from potential fires and burns. Protects furniture. It's a multi-purpose tool. It is very affordable. New improved product.
And in order to actually get our name out and tell people what the safe straight was, we had to do a lot of advertising. We could sell them in the school store. We made displays all over the school. We had advertisements hanging up on walls, bulletin board flyers. We have a web page. We have our own Facebook, Twitter, every social media you can think of. We made one just for it. And
Our advertisements.
There we go. Just wanted to hold the
Oh, yeah.
photo.
Everyone did a really good job with these. These are hung up all around the school. That's all it is. Our webpage. You can check it out. It's just right. So Sawyer did that actually. Sawyer's here. It's actually a really nice design website. You can get all that information for that. It's great. And our commercial, which Kim has ready for us on the laptop.
And a little bit, we did have the Putnam Fire Department came in and did a presentation for the students on fire safety, and then came back and the kids actually did a mock fire, so they could use that for our commercial. That was another aspect to the project that we had to do. So they did a PowerPoint, and then it had to include a commercial and questions and answers, and they talked to the judges and things like that. It was a pretty long process for the presentation at PVCC.
Thank you for that.
All right, can you guys vote for that?
I don't know if you'll be able to. You can't
It's
see.
okay, go ahead.
You can't see.
Maybe.
go over here.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Are you excited? Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Are you excited? strapless. Yeah. You think there'll be food there? I hope there's food there, because I'm starving. Yeah, me too. Actually, hold on. Can I get food right now, actually? Yeah. Alright. Alright.
Introducing SafeStraight. The SafeStraight is a straight, safe, and smart way to store your hair straightener. This revolutionary item can be used as a fire-resistant, multi-purpose tool that can help prevent burns. Made of the highest quality recycled aluminum, the SafeStraight is sure to keep your home and family safe from fires. It is being sold at the affordable price of only $10, with all proceeds benefiting the Putnam High School Scholarship Fund. Purchase the SafeStraight today.
I
think we ought to have that too before every.
And then that concluded our presentation.
So how much money you want?
$10 each.
I'll take a couple. I got a couple dollars. I need it.
Saves the furniture.
Huh?
Saves the furniture.
I had, actually, I had purchased one and I probably put it out here, and it was taken away. So you guys want to make extra profit? I'd like that. Check Barney's pocket. I'm ready to put it in my.
Thank you. Thank you also. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. Actually, I want to proudly display it here at the town hall.
Yeah.
Because I was so very proud of the job that these kids did. And I tried to go out and shake hands with each one of them. And the other nice part is, as I've been out and around town, I've bumped into several of you guys here and there. So it's important that I've had an opportunity to meet you. You're getting to know the public officials in this community, and that's special for me. And again, I can't say how proud I was of you to be there that day at the expo, to see you win that first place, and congratulations from me, and I'm certain from the rest of the board of selectmen. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
I don't know if you
Thank you, Mrs. St. Martin.
They created the story on the back is.
That's great. Yeah, but there's some finish to it.
Yeah, like a matte finish.
Finish on the box.
Oh, yeah.
Fire marshal.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. The video.
Thank you all. Item 3 is public comment. Would there be further public comment this evening? Yes, sir.
Michael Lowers, down 74 Mill Street. At the last joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance, I was trying to find how the actions were of some of the selectmen. That's all I'm going to say about that. I mean, I've been a Democrat all my life and always will be. But this November, I think I'm going to change my mind, and I think we need to do what's best for the town. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Thank you, Michael.
would I have a time, or I don't know if the subject's going to come
Sure.
up about 88 Main Street.
Sure.
Can I approach it? You know, I'm just surprised, Mr. Dexter's here and Mr. Rose. I was here 3 weeks ago. And
Need your name?
the name is Jeff Analik from, I have the Joby Store on Main Street, near where Mr. Dexter's working on the building, 88. And I was just surprised over the last 3 weeks that much has been done. And I understand the issue on hand is concerned between $5,000 and $6,000 for some permits. I'm just a little miffed, over $5,000, $6,000 on such a big project. What's going to be with the staging and all the boarding if nothing's been done in nice weather? I just can't believe now it's already the middle of June. I have customers that are intimidated by the high staging. And maybe we could find out how it could proceed. And I just think, given all the years that this project was planned, it seems a surprise now that it's reduced to $5,000 to $6,000 to go forward on such a large amount of money, a grant and a building that needs work. Now, my building and traffic has suffered for me personally. I can't speak for anybody else. But I know over the last 6 weeks with the staging up, the building has suffered. People haven't walked by, and I've just been affected. I know Mr. Dexter and Mr. Rose previously offered to put a banner up somewhere in the front of the building, which, you know, we'll get to. I just would like to know if it's at all possible, if we could find out in the near future if it will get off first base. And I would also like to address the parking issue. Mr. Dexter, if he's not going to use it, would it be possible to take away the parking fence in the front, where he has allocated one spot behind the fence? I don't know, because no work's been done, the parking spot's been gone, and it's very cramped to start with. So I was wondering if something could be addressed about the parking behind the blockage. And I would hope that maybe tonight the project could get underway with Mr. Rose and Mr. Dexter. If it's just a matter of $5,000 to $6,000, if it's other issues, I think it would be a propitious time to discuss it. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Would there be further public comment this evening?
Should we make comments now about 88 Main Street, or should we bring it up under 11C? I want to put this thing to bed tonight, so if we can't speak under 11C, I want to get it over with right now.
Well, Jim, I think you probably go ahead and talk about it right now.
All right.
Yep. And state your name and...
James Rose, I'm the contractor for 88 Main Street. There's been a lot of problems with this project, and it's unfortunate. I thought it was going to be a relatively easy project when we started, because I know the town's been trying to do this for years. Bruce bought that building years ago with the stipulation he would get a $500,000 grant to finish off the front of the building. It ends up, it's out for bid with a $400,000 grant, $100,000 less than he was assured of when he bought the building. And that's why he bought the building, because he was going to get this grant. This project was put out in very plain and clear language, with performance and payments bonds being issued to the town, not to Bruce, to the town. The town's attorney, St. Ange, reviewed the contract and the bid documents, plainly stating there would be no fees for permits. All through the process, no fees for permits. This comes down to signing the contracts, getting the job started, with, once again, Mr. St. Ange reviewing all this, assuring me when I asked him that there'd be no problems, and he reviewed it in respect to what the town has to do. We get to the point where it comes to issuing a permit. I'm denied a permit because Bonnie and John don't want it to happen. Fine. But this becomes a problem with myself and with Bruce Dexter. This should have never gotten to us. The town was with the contract, and the contracts and all the bid documents were from the town, telling us we don't have to take a permit out, pay for a permit. We have to get a permit, of course. Bonnie and John are town selectmen. I can't believe that their constituents are telling them to stop this project for the sake of a $4,000 permit, but obviously they feel their constituents want this thing stopped. And we're at this point for several months now. And today kicked in the second month of renting staging, special staging, to support that building, jacks, timbers, cribbing, all that stuff was rented. Sorry about that. And it was supposed to go back today. Today, it was supposed to go back. It's $3,000 a month. I've done nothing wrong. I've honored my contract. I started on the dates I was supposed to start. I applied for everything I needed to apply for. Bonnie and John, granted, you got a problem with this whole thing, but you brought it on to us. It has nothing to do with us. That was the contract I have with the town. Your point should have been taken up with the town and the people that gave us this contract, but you brought it on us. And you made a lot of it personal. A lot of comments about a millionaire getting away without taking. Well, I just fill the comment. You can answer later on. Because I'm just starting. Like I said, it should have never gotten this far. You, St. Ange, two selectmen should have sat in the room and figured out what you were going to do to keep this project going. Instead, you brought it on me and Bruce, who's waited years to get this thing started. I want to know how we're going to handle this. I should have come in right up front when I wasn't getting a permit and done this. Found out how we're going to handle this. When's this going to end? Should I plan on not implementing that specialty staging and jacks and everything? Take them out, close the building up? Is that what I should be planning on doing? It's up to you two. You're the only two that are opposed to this whole project.
Walk in there and start it.
What's that?
And the building permit, go and start it.
Listen, did you just hear what I say about the town issuing the contract?
The original bid on that, the original piece that went on that was I read it right in the town hall downstairs. That's an addendum to it.
That's the bid package. That was issued.
The original one said you will be into it.
This was part of the bid package. This was given to us before we bid this. Everybody that bid that project.
That's your first one you ever got.
What do you mean?
Is that the first bid document you received? The plans say it right on it.
What does that have to do with me? This was issued by the town, by the Economic Development Commission, and approved by St. Ange. Obviously, it was in the
Well, I don't even know
contract.
how our
He had
town's
to put
attorney
this
can
whole thing
approve
over.
something that didn't go through the proper procedure.
Can you honestly tell me that you're just,
Yes, I can.
telling
Yes,
you
I
to
can.
stop this project?
They never said stop it. They said don't give a free permit to them because we paid for ours.
This has nothing to do with a free permit. This has everything to do with this man putting over $200,000 of his own money into this thing now to complete what he said he would do. And the principle behind it,
Anybody else in this town wouldn't mind their businesses?
why didn't you two guys get us all in a room together and discuss this before you made such a public display out of it?
Now, can I say something, please? Let me say something about the permit and everything else, and I want to make it perfectly clear to you and Mr. Dexter. First of all, I'm in favor of this permit, of this project. This is how it was presented to the board. No, you listen, I
I
listen
don't
to you.
care how it was presented.
Well, I do.
I'm telling you what our contract reads. What
Okay.
this town is supposed to be doing for Jim Rose. That's what I'm telling you. Now this, what you're about to bring up, has nothing to do with the two of us. It has everything to do with the way it went out for bid. Well, if you wanted to be that particular about every little thing that's going on, you should have been involved in it, right? You should have sat right there and reviewed all this stuff before contracts were signed. But they've all
They
been
never came in
signed.
front of us.
Now this makes it the mayors and St. Ange and you. We should not be in this loop. And none of this should be
I
happening.
agree you shouldn't be in the loop, but you were brought in the loop by a person, a director of economic development, who overstepped her grounds by not asking the appropriate people how to waive a permit and how it should be done.
What does that, you know,
It's got nothing to do with you.
yeah, but you're stopping this whole corner. This project, we didn't bring it up publicly, but our intention was to take the staging down on the 4th of July. You'd be lucky to have it down by October now. Specialty items have been canceled, put on hold, subcontractors we'd have no more schedule for them.
So why should...
OSHA's been called twice. Some coward keeps calling OSHA, won't tell them who it is or anything, making these crazy complaints, all right? And they've even called Bruce and said, you gotta find out who this character is that keeps calling OSHA. And I'll tell you, Bonnie, your name's been brought up on that whole
I'll
thing.
tell you what.
By some people that...
I'll tell you what, Mr. Rose, you better be able to prove that. because
I'm
I'll
telling
take the
you,
ladies
it's the
that
same
suggest-
bullshit that's going on with you and all this noise that's being made.
Okay.
You know,
I'm not even gonna discuss this back with you, because it's got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with a department head that went overstepped
It has
her bounds,
everything to
and
do with
she
me.
brought it to here. If she would have minded her own business and followed proper procedure, we wouldn't have had this.
Enough of the discussion, please. Jim, enough of the discussion at this point. We have further discussion under 11C. I'd rather have it continue there.
All right,
We can
Bruce
bring
can
other
bring up his
elements into
concerns
discussion
then.
at that point.
My concerns are that I don't really want to take that staging down and move out, but it's gotta be settled tonight, Bonnie and John. We've gotta settle this whole thing tonight.
Further public comment?
Yeah, the only comment I want to make is he's getting paid, he has a building interest, Mr. Dexter and Mr. Rose. My business is affected. So he's hot mad, he's calm, and my business is affected. I'd like to know, over $4,000 or $5,000 between two of you, it's shameful, regardless of the selectmen. That's all I have to say on that.
Item 4, approval of minutes. In your packet, you have the minutes from May the 20th, 2013, Board of Selectmen meeting minutes. What would be a pleasure?
Motion to approve is presented.
And there's a change in there. I did not. Huh?
We have a second on the motion to approve. Owen, second. Discussion.
All right. I did not say to go into recess. What I said was, so moved on your statement, Mr. Mayor, to recess. Page 3 of 5. Second line down.
And what was your term?
Well, it wasn't, I listened to the tape of the meeting, there was some confusion. I assumed you said recess, you said adjourn. And I said, so moved.
It was so, but you did say so moved, right?
I did say so moved.
So you can't.
But it wasn't recess, it was, he said adjournment.
I thought at that meeting, we also addressed that, John. And then the meeting.
We did?
In the meeting. Doug had brought it up, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, but how did you address it? 'Cause I watched the tape, I didn't see, how did you address it?
I think we just addressed the wording.
Just so it's, I did not say recess, that's all I wanted to mention.
Yep.
Other than that, it's fine.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, just about this issue. I'm not a parliamentarian or an expert at it, but I've run a couple of meetings. And it's my understanding that when a meeting is adjourned, the meeting is over, and you can't go back into a meeting that's just been adjourned without publicizing it for 3 days. So, coming back after the town meeting was over at 7:35 and rewording a motion to adjourn technically doesn't even exist because the meeting is over. You can't go back in afterwards, after the fact, and unadjourn.
All right, now, well, actually, I called the FOI Commission today and questioned this, and Tom Hennick said there was no issue. He said it was just,
It was just
It's a
a wording error.
ministerial
Right,
error.
and our agenda mentioned going out and recess and coming back in.
Come back, yes.
And it was just a wording, so he said there's no issue with it. I was just concerned that.
It wasn't intentional, Doug.
No, it wasn't intentional. That's why I
It was just
called him. So he said there should be no issue with it.
Yeah.
Very good. Motion and a second on the floor with the change in wording under Selectman Smith made a motion to,
I think we should.
And should cancel a meeting, call Bill and have him come back. This is just ridiculous. What the hell are we doing here? This is ridiculous.
Well, I
So
have to straighten this out.
my motion's been corrected, and if that's good with you, then
That's
okay.
all, I just
make
wanted
a
to
motion
change
with
that
that
one word.
correction stated.
all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, so carried.
I abstain.
Item 5, petitions and communications. In your packet, you have a letter dated May the 20th, 2013 from Willebrator regarding the discharge monitoring reports, April 2013. The report, again, is in its entirety is available in the mayor's office for review during normal business hours. Item B is you have a letter dated May the 24th, 2013 from Willebrator regarding the revised discharge monitoring reports. Item C is you have a letter dated May the 29th, 2013 from Willebrator in regards to the closure and post-closure financial assurance mechanism 2013 annual report. Item D is letter dated May the 30th, 2013 from Willebrator regarding the notification disposal commencement. Item E is letter dated May the 31st, 2013 from Willebrator regarding the response to the April the 11th, 2013 notice of violation. And again, all these reports and letters are in the mayor's office for your public review, should you like to review them. Item 6 is reports of standing committees. Almer, A is General Government Committee.
Clarification, well, everything's being worked on, and we are really close. Did we get that from Bill today?
We got the revised
Revised.
language that would be incorporated. What I'd like to do is put together as the entire package that was reviewed by the General Government Committee, presented to the full board at your next meeting.
So that's where we are, and hopefully we'll have that wrapped up pretty soon.
Very good. MS4, water and sewer, all set? Good. Reports of, item 7 is reports of special committees. Item A is the Wheeler Contract Review Committee. Doug, anything, nothing to do with the report?
Not heard anything back from Wheeler.
Item B is Charter Revision Study Committee. Doug, has there been any?
No action, but I'm hoping to schedule a meeting of the group very soon.
Very good, thank you. Item 8 is Economic and Community Development Report. If you would come up, Bill, for please?
Up here, on the hot seat.
Yeah.
A bit hotter. Under the redevelopment agency, the community development block grant for 2012, I attached a report that showed all the progress of the houses, and the pending applications that we have. We have a site walk for the first project tomorrow, the Caspian Way property. Under revolving loans, we have 3 active revolving loans. Subordinations, we have 2 requests, and we have 1 pending application for a revolving loan. Under the sidewalk projects, as previously reported, the USDA Rural Development Office from Central Massachusetts has granted permission to the redevelopment agency to expend approximately $215,000 for sidewalk redevelopment, construction, and/or reclamation. I will be working with the Public Works Director to prioritize areas of need. Under the Economic and Community Development Office, the Municipal Brownfield Pilot Program, meeting was held in mid-May with the mill developer manager, CME Associates, and the environmental hazardous team to present the hazardous materials report. Cost estimates were provided for asbestos and other hazardous waste cleanup throughout the entire mill complex as well as lead abatement. We're going to file an alternative work plan to simplify some of the asbestos work and the waste streams due to the vacant condition of the building. It's a lot different for abatement with that than if you have housing or commercial property within the property. Eagle Environmental will complete the abatement work plan by mid-June. Remediation will then be put out to bid. The nomination for listing the mill complex on the National Register of Historic Places has been filed, as well as the Part 1 documentation. We are waiting for information from the State Historic Preservation Office review and an on-site walkthrough from the National Park Service, because if this is accepted as National Historic Property, then it will be deemed oversight by the National Park Service. The flood certification has been completed. No further action is necessary. 88 Main Street facade project. In my report, it said demolition continues. I think most of that is completed. Roofing materials would be the last phase. Stabilization and finished brickwork is nearly complete. Additional improvements will be conditional upon submittal of a new application for building permit. And Mr. Dexter has informed me also that ProYote, an international yogurt company, would like to be the first ProYote in this Putnam area, and they will work with 88 Main Street this year. And he can speak to that a little bit later if any questions are asked. Under the Palo property, council for the town of Putnam and the family trust continue to progress. Once access is gained, the bidding process can move forward. Under Steep, NECOG regional engineer has submitted the final design plans based on requested survey from Connecticut DOT. If you're familiar with that sidewalk section, there's actually 2 linear sections that are disjointed, and there's approximately a 55 plus or minus linear foot in between that just sidewalk ends and the sidewalk begins. So we're looking at a new estimate for the project to continue and connect those 2 pieces. The extension is between $40,000 and $45,000. Agricultural Viability Grant Award, collaboration between Dayquil Healthcare and Generations Family Health Care Center through the Double Value Coupon and Fresh Fruits and Vegetable Prescription to develop an effective, impactful program to address childhood obesity. In turn, the area farmers are supported and have been instrumental in public education. All of the contracts and assistance agreements have been sent in, and that paperwork is completed. Connecticut Main Street Center for Preservation of Place Program, the Wayfinding Award. Project objectives for the Wayfinding Program are to support and promote Putnam through visitor and tourism awareness, increase in market potential for the arts, restaurants, retail, and historic landmarks, and to direct visitors from major roadways. The Downtown Center Signage and Wayfaring Design Project will provide 2 outcomes. 1, the development of designs and standards for effective signage, that will provide direction from existing gateways towards the downtown center, and design of and recommendations for the location of informational kiosks within the center itself, parking signage, and beautification concepts. That RFP was sent out and proposals are due this Thursday, June 13th. Industrial park updates. We're in the process of working with Rentschel Tool Company from Eastford, a small manufacturing firm who would like to build a 17,000 square foot building here in Putnam. He has looked at available lots in the industrial park, but they are not conducive to his price range because of the available lots, the site work. It's excessive with ledge present on some of the available sites that we have. Other lots in the Putnam area are being reviewed for potential sale in the near future. You will see on your agenda there is an item to look at 0.26 acres of town-owned property for potential sale. Also, we are having preliminary discussions taking place with one iPark tenant for potential expansion on their facility on a budding property. Under the community garden, it's the full first growing season of the Robert Johnson Community Garden. All ground beds and raised beds have been adopted and paid for. We actually have a waiting list of one person. Permission has been granted by the Department of Environmental and Energy, Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, to expend any remaining funds for the purpose of garden expansion and any services necessary. A 35% match for in-kind is also required under this personal services agreement. We're looking at the removal of 2 trees, and those 2 trees under the Public Works Department said they're in pretty sad shape anyway. Removal of soil and replacement. Putnam High School is building a compost bin for us for the fall season. The community garden will supply the materials, and student and faculty will provide the labor. And we also have Ellis Tech building a ramp into our shed and a platform for our rain barrel to sit on. Still haven't heard from the Office of Policy Management for the Main Street Investment Fund. We were supposed to hear in April. We heard it was supposed to be May. Now it's in June. I have ongoing projects, but the Casajoy Family Interest property, I met with Mr. Casajoy about 2 weeks ago, and he is the owner of the property that Abigail's Jewelers was in and the property that Wonderland Books was in. I actually met with Peter, who is the son who's taking over the property now. David, his father, is stepping back. They had not been in town for about 10 years, so they were very, very excited to see what was going on, and we want to work with him on filling some of the storefronts of his properties. This Thursday and Friday, June 13th and 14th, we have the Health Educator Director, Teresa Argandesi, coming up from Norwalk. As you may remember, through Putnam being a Health Quest partner, myself and Linda Colangelo were chosen by the Center for Disease Control to be mentors to the Norwalk community for building healthy communities. They will be doing a site visit Thursday and Friday of this week to all of the community partners, which is the town of Putnam, some of the health initiatives that we have done with the Farmers Market, Story Walk, Community Garden, all fall within the realm of what they call focus projects for building healthy environments. And this is all about policy and environmental change. So we're pretty excited to host them around Northeastern Connecticut. And that completes my report.
Very good.
Any questions?
I just have one question to this number. As noticed when I signed in bills, we returned, what, 20,000 to Northeast Cultural Program in Willimantic. They wouldn't be the lead agency in that, right? We returned $20,290 to Northeast Cultural Alliance.
That was reported on before because the Connecticut Office of the Arts, which used to be, it's now under DECD, it used to be the Connecticut Commission on Culture and Tourism.
And we were the lead agency, and then we had to go back to...
Well, we never finished the project. We couldn't finish the project because they redefined the regions. So Wyndham Arts has expanded their area, and they took over the 12 towns that we have in our Northeast Cultural Alliance.
So they'll be administrating any of that grant now?
Nope, that grant is done, and that's been sent back to the
them?
state.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, Delphi.
You're welcome.
Building official, you do have his report on hand. Just want to let you know Doug and I are meeting with our building official on Wednesday, and I'll be talking with Lee Post about attending at least a meeting once a month, so that we have the opportunity to ask Lee some questions pertaining to what's going on in town. Item 10 is the town administrator's report. Doug, please.
Okay. I was happy to be able to represent the town of Putnam at the annual Connect Conference on Tourism. At that opening session, they were announcing the fan favorite competition winners, and Putnam was one of 5 finalists, so we were all sitting there not knowing how the voting had gone. Unfortunately, we were not selected as the #1 town. That award went to Niantic. I think we believe we came in 4th.
We did.
And so we did very well in terms of coming up against some of these larger towns. So Putnam did very well in terms of getting our name out there and getting people to vote in support of the town of Putnam. However, Senator Don Williams was one of the speakers at the opening forum, and he was very complimentary to the town about our downtown renaissance and becoming a sought-after tourist attraction. What the folks had done in terms of making Putnam one of the places to visit. The sewer lift station project, this is all involving renovation and rehabilitation of our 10 lift stations in town. We have received word that through the USDA that Putnam has been awarded a $2.97 million loan at 2.125% interest and a grant of $1.03 million towards the wastewater pump stations upgrade project. So that is a total of $4 million total project cost. We had initially estimated over 3% would be our interest rate, and we had not predicated any of our budgeting based on receiving a grant. But so we should be in very good shape in terms of, from a financial standpoint, in terms of the interest rate coming in at 2.125% and getting almost over 25% of that project being paid for through a grant. Now that the application has been approved, the project has to go before the voters or to approve the appropriation. And that will probably be sometime in August. The scheduling will be is that we will go to the Board of Finance and the Planning Commission at their meetings in June to have them sign off on it. And it will come to the Board of Selectmen at their meeting in July. And at that time, you'll also be asked to schedule the referendum and the town meeting first to be adjourned to referendum. Along those same lines, last week while I was away, the mayor was able to sign off on another application that we had submitted through the USDA for the Wellfield water system upgrades, and that includes the primary reason for that application was to construct a manganese treatment building at the new Wellfield. We were alerted to the fact that of the $2.088 million project cost, that we would be receiving $1.580,000 at 2.75% interest rate, and also we would be receiving a $508,000 grant towards that project. And again, the same timing, we would bring both of these projects to the Board of Finance and Planning Commission at their meeting this June, and then come back to the Board of Selectmen for scheduling a town meeting and to adjourn referendum at the meeting in July, with hopefully that vote, town meeting and referendum being scheduled sometime during the month of August. Again, the water system upgrades was based on a higher, we had initially budgeted based on a higher interest rate. rate and no expectation that we would receive a grant. So again, very good news that we received both a low interest loan and a grant component on these two projects. The water replacement and relining project, as you were previously notified, we have an agreement with our consulting engineer, Beta Group. That's been signed, and they've begun the engineering survey work and design work necessary for replacement and relining of water pipes 100 years or older. And again, they're concentrating right now in the Mechanic Street area, but it will be expanded to six areas throughout town. And construction work after the engineering and survey work is designed and accepted. Construction work is expected to be scheduled for spring 2014 construction season. On behalf of the town of Putnam, I attended a regular meeting of the Council of Governments in May. We had an opportunity to be considered for some money that came through the state regional emergency management office, and we applied for and received a $600 grant from the State Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, and it was to purchase a router that will allow us access to the internet and the web should all our landlines go down during emergency. So what we were looking for is the ability to have some backup to access the internet, because that's the primary means of communication with state agencies during the time of a disaster. So this will give us a backup where we won't have to rely on our landlines in case they're down. The Board of Finance, I did attend the monthly meeting of the board. And for your information, the CLMP Interstate Reliability Project is moving forward. And along with Mayor Place, I attended a meeting with CLMP representatives and their consultants on the status of the upgrade to the major power transmission lines that run through Putnam. And a public meeting will be held soon where residents can learn more about the project and have any questions answered. And the CLMP will also be working extensively with the private landowners impacted by easements on the line. So as they go forward with construction of the project, they want to make sure that they are doing everything possible to inform the public and particularly the private landowners where they have easement where the transmission lines go through. So in case they have to put in construction pads and things of that nature, that they minimize the impact, because in many cases these might be farms that they're impacted. So they want to keep that down to their impact down to a minimum. And I already talked about the water system. And I'll talk a little bit more about the Quinville Regional Technology Park under that item on the agenda.
Questions of Doug?
Doug, between the lift station now and the magnesium problem that we're dealing with, you say that we have to go out for another $2.8 million for magnesium, to address the magnesium portion.
Correct.
And with the $5.7 million we have to go out for a lift station, we're up to 8.5. The total bond for that whole thing was, I thought, with the sewer plant and everything, was $14 million.
That's for the sewer plant.
That was just for the sewer plant?
Right.
So it wasn't tied in, it wasn't tied in with the water
no,
lines?
It wasn't tied in with the water lines.
So the only thing that'd be tied in would be the lift station, which is 5.7?
2.97.
Yeah, okay, because I added the magnesium. So we're still within the 14 million?
No, this is in addition to the 14 million on the sewer plant. These are completely new additional appropriations that would be required for these lift stations and also the manganese treatment.
But we didn't use the 14 million, right?
We are using a good portion of that 14 million for whatever the 18 point, I think it was 18.8 million. We're using it, we're going to be using that up.
But I think, Doug, you had spoken a little bit about it in the last meeting. It was figured into rate.
That's
We're
right.
not actually taking any rate.
So you figured up to 18 million, is that what
No,
you're
we
saying?
figured all of these projects. The 18.8 was figured into when they went for the increase on the sewer rates. The 2.97 million was factored in at a higher interest rate and also without a grant when they went for the rate increase, the sewer rate increase. And on the water system upgrades, which is on the water side, they did factor in the $2 million in terms of the manganese treatment. And so that is all covered in terms of the rate increases that was approved by the water. On the water side, it was approved by the town voters. On the sewer side, it was approved by the sewer commission.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know, I thought it was 14 million, but you're saying it's
The 14 million, I think you're referring to is the total cost of the water line and replacement and rehoing. So there's a lot of projects going on in terms of
What
improving
would
the
that bring our
infrastructure.
total bonded package up for, has anybody?
I'll get that figure for you.
Yeah.
I'll go back tomorrow and I'll get that figure. Because then I'll get it to the entire board.
Yeah, are we reaching our plateau about the 36 million?
I think we're under it still, so.
Without any more projects, right?
Without any more projects, right.
That's important. right?
That is important.
So we can't borrow beyond 36 million, if I'm right, right?
I think that's important.
And we're pretty close for the school, right? Okay, thank you.
Yes, Renee.
I know you might not be the one with this, but I'm really excited about the EOC equipment. So is that like a satellite hub that we
Yes.
connect to?
Yes.
So can we also connect, I know it mentions computers, but can we also connect like a VoIP system into that to be able to have telephone access?
Yes.
Nice. That's awesome. That is great news after the last exercise.
Exactly.
And the non-exercises.
Right. So we're pretty well up to speed in terms of the Emergency Operations Center. I know certain selectmen have been down there during storms, so if you ever, I hope we don't have storms, but if you have the chance to come down, it's a pretty impressive operation.
Yes. Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Actually, we don't stop with you, I guess.
Okay.
Unfinished business, item 11A, is the Quinnebog Regional Technology Park and Bridge.
Good news on the Quinnebog Regional Technology Park and Bridge is that the record of decision, as you know, this was the end product of the environmental impact evaluation that's required under the state SEPA statutes. That has gone from the Department of Economic Community Development to OPM, which is the last stop on this journey to becoming a final record of decision. In fact, Don Johnson and I had a conference call today with the economic development staff about some of the comments that are filtering back from some of the state agencies. And this is all part of the process that takes place. And once the record of decision gets to OPM, then they have one final chance to have some input into the record of decision. So there was some fine tuning that they've asked us to come up with, and there was nothing major in terms of that. So everything going as well as expected. I was told by the staff at OPM that, and this was before I left to go to Washington last week, that the process takes about 2 to 3 weeks. And then it goes up to the secretary for his determination. So keeping my fingers crossed, I'm hoping by the end of June, early July, we would have a final decision on the record of decision from the Office of Policy Management. And as far as I know, that's the last step that we have to do in terms of moving forward. And again, this controls the ability for the town to spend the $2.97 million on the bridge, and also the $3.5 million for the YMCA on the community center. The next steps that we are proceeding with, we're finishing up negotiations over the right of first refusal. It's my expectation that we'll be able to have that draft language, back to the Board of Selectmen for your meeting in July for your review and hopeful approval. We are, now that we're so close to the finish line, we are in the process of discussions with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection on obtaining the right-of-way that we need in terms of the access from Kennedy Drive to the Quinnebog River. Even though we have the approval, now it's just the actual contract, the actual agreement language that will have to be reviewed, and again, that will have to come to the Board of Selectmen. And then one other item that is still out there, and again, a lot of this, the state agencies were all waiting for the record of the decision to be completed, and that is to resolve the non-access line issue that is on the interstate. All interstates, you have a non-access line. To break that non-access line, you have to go through a process, including going signed off by the governor. I talked to the staff today, and she says there's never been any problem in terms of granting the non-access line. To break the non-access line, it's just that we have to go through the various steps to get that resolved. One of the questions is that it can either be done under the current owner, which would be deep, which doesn't make sense, so we would probably have to away, transferred to the town, and then the town be the applicant for to break the non-access law. Can't think of anything else on our regional quick cover.
I think that's all. You brought me up to date on that. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item B is state disposition of surplus property, 380 Pomfret Street, the Dempsey Center portion. And I'll open it up for discussion at this point. It's a large block of property and land that is available above the hospital, as you know. And at this particular point, we have the opportunity to express an interest in the property, and if we don't, the next step in the process is the state will probably put a for sale sign out there and open it up to the public, so beware of that.
Pete, did they come back with any assessed value other than what we have?
We haven't received the appraisal yet that from the state.
So we don't really know what they're going to ask us at this point, right?
Right. So it might be
I don't
something
think
you
the
still
board,
want to
I
hold
don't think
off
the
on.
board should take action till we get the appraisal from the state to see where we are on it. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. I mean, are they going to sell it before they give us the appraised value?
No, it takes months for them to, to process all of that. Item C is a building fee waiver policy review, discussion and possible action. I talked to Doug about this, and I'd like to be able to change the procedure and the way that the vote is held, and given the Board of Selectmen further authority, rather than making it a 100% vote to a 2/3 vote of the Board of Selectmen. And I further believe at this particular point that if we were to have a motion on the floor this evening to that effect, that I'd hold a special Board of Selectmen's meeting in regards to the waiver of the building fees. So I would entertain a motion on the floor this evening.
So moved.
Do I have a second on that motion? Second. A motion and a second to change the way that the vote is, I want to use the words right, from a what? Unanimous, yeah, that's the word I want to go for. Unanimous vote to a 2/3 vote of the Board of Selectmen. Discussion.
I would just like that, so we don't run into this policy anymore, we should just have a policy that the only fees that are waived are municipal fees, period. Other towns have done it, and I think that alleviates a lot of the discussions we're having here and what's happening. I don't think that the only fees that should be waived is the municipal fees on any building that they be no more than 10 times.
Further discussion.
All right. First time we used this, since it was initiated.
Do we know that? Have you looked
Have
through
we
the
used it?
minutes of
Have
every
we ever-
meeting?
have we ever done it?
Since this,
Have
yeah.
you?
I don't, no, I haven't, but you said since we, which I assume means the Board of Selectmen. I don't know that it's never been used since 1999. I don't know that anyone here knows.
You were on the board.
I don't remember even that vote for, had to be 100% one way or the other. I don't. Because that was kind of crazy even back then.
Well, I was just thinking, it was, the one time it was used, it didn't go the direction you guys wanted it to go. So the next step is going to be to change it, so it will go the way you want. You, Mr. Mayor, voted on this as a selectman. Owen, you voted on it, and it was a unanimous vote to be unanimous. I just find it kind of odd, all of a sudden, we're going to change it so that...
John, I think we have the right.
Oh, yeah, you have the right. You certainly
Through
do.
this board, to make corrections to things that have happened in the past.
And things that you voted on in the past.
Things that you voted on in the past.
No, you voted. I wasn't in this meeting.
Yeah.
You've never
And you
made
know what?
a mistake or an error here at the Board of Selectmen that had...
Say that.
And John, what happened at the last meeting, I think, may have shown Pete and Owen what can happen if we require a 100% unanimous decision on this. And sometimes you think something's a good idea, you try it, and you learn maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all. And the idea that things that the majority of people, not only in town office, but in this town, think are a good project and the town should support in some material way, the fact that that can be held up by the vote of not even two, but by the vote of one selectman who, whether for political reasons, because they have an axe to grind, or for whatever reason it could be. I'm not going to say whether it's legitimate or illegitimate. But the fact that one selectman can hold up giving relatively minor support to something so supported and so wanted by and so beneficial to the town is absolutely ridiculous. And so I am glad that we have this idea, and I'm glad to make that motion.
We already have a motion in a second.
Right, yeah, I was glad to have been able to make it.
The reason I didn't vote for this 2 weeks ago, and I'm not going to vote for it again, I find I can't justify it when other people that had grants previously, low and moderate income people that are just about making it, and they have projects under the same program that they have to pay building fees. I think in my idea, it's not that I'm in favor of any project that benefits the town, and I'm sure this project's going to benefit the town, but I can't justify it in my mind that we could be setting precedents, and I can't justify the fact that other people in the past have paid permits under the same guidelines, and that's why I think we would be opening the Pandora's box by allowing it.
I'm one to not open Pandora's box. However, there was a whole checklist of items that they had to qualify under, which they did. There were stipulations, and there wasn't one. If I'm correct, there were 10. And I was really disappointed, and I wasn't here that night. I was at a function in Worcester for what I do during the day. And I'm sorry that I missed it, because what disappoints me the most is the fact that they should not have been brought here. Any discussion, you guys knew beforehand it was 100%. Instead of bringing that to the attention of the board and trying to figure out a way that we could make the project continue for the benefit of the town, that's not what happened. And it's really, I think if we put our energy into making the town better, instead of pointing fingers, if we work together to fix issues instead of fighting against one another, that's all I see. And it's really disturbing to me that that's the way it's been.
Well, I find it very disturbing the fact that we have a chief elected official and a town administrator. Now, the night of that issue that was brought up, the first thing that was said before this board that I knew anything about waiving any permits or anything else like that was the economic developer sat in that seat, and you should listen to the tape, and the first words were out of her mouth, not here tonight, to ask this board, the term she used was to ask this board, I want to use the term right, because I listened to the tape, for guidance on waiving a building fee. I didn't have a problem with that. Nobody knew the policy. Nobody knew anything about waiving a building fee. The next day, we found out that the fee had already been waived that this board wasn't aware of. And Owen said, we discussed it, and Owen even said that we've only looked at this for 3 minutes. We should have a chance to study it. So, being a cock that I am, I'm sorry, but I look up things. I thought that they knew the policy and everybody else knew the policy. After 2 weeks, it was brought to somebody's attention besides me. I put it in the back there because I forgot all about it. I didn't think nothing of it. So for you to say that I brought it out at the last minute, I did, because when the vote went like that, I'm going, that ain't the policy. That isn't the way it was adopted. So it isn't that I'm trying to make issues here. I'm just trying to show you that there was a policy in place. We weren't made aware of it. And that's the issue I have.
So we're
So
gonna
Barney-
punish the,
That's
wanna
all I'm
punish
saying.
the
Barney, I
builders
just
on
know
it?
how come you happen to have it sit
Right.
behind?
And when-
Because I had it sitting there, because I thought you
Don't
knew
sit
the
here and lie
policy.
to
You know,
us.
you know.
I wasn't
Barney-
lying to you. Let me tell you something.
You know what?
We got a town administrator, we got a town
I think
mayor.
at this particular point, we have a motion on the floor. Let's act on the motion.
You're just gonna cut conversation?
I've heard enough, John.
You've heard enough, but we have, you know.
I've heard enough.
Because you.
All
didn't know-
those in favor
Wow.
of changing the vote,
I'll formally call the question.
there you go.
And I'll second the call.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
So carried. Doug, I'll ask that you call I'm going to call a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen this week to deal with the building permit.
The policy.
Are we allowed to, you see now there was already a vote taken on that, 98 Main. That doesn't hold any water?
This is on changing the policy.
Okay, policy.
What we just voted was to have a
changed.
meeting to change the policy. No, we have to.
We just changed the policy.
We just
Oh, we
changed it.
changed the
That's done.
policy, okay.
I need to
What do
call
you-
a special meeting
Okay.
to vote
To
on
vote
the
on
building
88
permit.
Main.
That's right.
To vote on 88 Main, even though we already made a decision?
No,
I
it-
believe, John, that the decision that was made didn't carry.
It was
So I need to
improper.
make sure. Because of the way that the way the building fees process was set up.
Right.
You had to have a,
Right. John, what happened
You had to have
was.
unanimous vote.
just
Unanimous
said-
And that was the policy. We
Wait,
voted
no, what
on what
happened-
the policy was, as, the policy was in effect when we voted on it.
What, if I recall
It
correctly,
wasn't?
what happened was, there was a vote in which Pete didn't take part, as is his usual practice, sitting out the votes as
Yeah.
the mayor. Doug said we needed 2/3 majority, and he said it carried. Doug corrected him that we needed 2/3 majority per what we believed that policy to be. At which point, Barney, you could have very easily said, actually, that's incorrect. It doesn't need a 2/3 majority. It was amended at the time it was passed, and that was the perfect opportunity for you to say, actually, it needs to be a unanimous vote. And then when we went into that vote, we would have done it knowledgeably, knowing what was required, okay? And there would have been a binding vote. Instead, we had a vote that was declared passed.
Okay.
Yes,
Because you didn't-
erroneously.
right. We're
And no,
all-
so
you
I
don't know
think
the
that
policy?
vote is null. I
Okay.
think that vote is
So
null.
the very-
Like-
So let me say this much. I brought it to your attention.
Mhm.
At that point, you knew it. You ignored me anyway.
No, at
I
that
said,
point,
no, I read
you
it
had
into
a piece of
record.
paper that, for all I knew, you made that piece of paper
Oh, here
in
we
your
go. I made that
basement
up. Here
before
we
you
go. I
came
make
here.
up, I make up policies.
You're saying it's our fault because you didn't know the policy.
I'm
Yeah.
saying where you
You're voting on
had
something you don't
noticed.
know about? How
I'm
often do
saying
you do
that where you had reason to believe we were operating by an erroneous standard, you had a duty to point that out.
And you
Yes,
did.
I am saying
And we did.
after the fact. And I'm
After the
saying,
fact, after you said that.
And I'm saying that was
and
improper.
During the vote is when Doug said we need
That's not,
2/3 vote.
John,
You're gonna cut it off again?
not the, we're done. The vote is over at this particular point.
so what?
I-
What is anything to do with that?
We're in the
We're going to take care of business.
Okay.
We're in the
I'm going to
best-
call a special Board of
Okay.
Selectmen's meeting for waiver of the building fees.
Okay.
Item 12A is East Putnam Fire Station waiver of building permit fees. What would be your pleasure?
Is that municipal?
They are, the municipal subdivision of the state.
Just making sure, because, I don't want later on. for that
Well,
to
I'll
come
make
back.
a motion because it's municipal to waive the building fees.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item B is telephone poles, Bowl Street parking lot. Doug, do we have anything further? An
I have
update?
nothing further.
Um,
Pending this lawsuit, I'm not quite sure how to proceed
Yeah.
until we have a better understanding of what impact everything will have.
I did have one or two words with Bill, but we never did get it taken care of, so
There's something pending on.
it is pending, so.
Every one of them.
Item C is review and award school security camera system bids. Denise, would you have those bids?
Oh, that's what it was. Awesome.
Good if the company had it in our pack.
Yeah.
Good bids, and the low bid was recommended.
Anybody wants to see them, I have them.
We got it here.
Nope, I have.
No.
But Nancy advised that she did check the background on Spartan race.
We have 10 bids that were received. The recommendation to the bid is integrated system services for $20,913.34. What would be your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. WPCA project building fee waiver.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Owen. Sorry, I didn't hear you, Owen. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. All right. Item E is conveyance of town-owned property, parcel A, Putnam Industrial Park. Doug Delpa, do you want to give me a...
Sure. I think you received a map in your packet, and actually, did you receive one?
I don't think we have a map. We have a letter.
Well, we have a letter.
We have the letters.
Yep.
This is a piece of property at the end of Ridge Road, and there was actually a map somewhere in there. I guess it didn't quite get to you. But this was originally set up as a 0.26 acre easement on the end of Ridge Road that is to the Resets property. This was originally set up as what is fondly called a spike easement, meaning that no one could develop that portion of property without going through our infrastructure on Ridge Road. We have Ron Williams from Rental Tool tonight, who is a company in Eastford who manufactures small medical devices. It's a tool and die shop, approximately 20 employees. He needs to expand to 30 employees. He's looking to build a 17,000 square foot piece of property. We have shown him quite a few properties here in our industrial park. Because he only needs 2 acres, a lot of the sites that we have to be developed either have a lot of ledge or it's very excessive to do some of the site work on that project, unlike something that's going to be 30 to 50,000 square foot building. So we are going through the process now of going to planning, the Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen, for him to purchase that piece of property. We are drafting the resolution also to make sure that that piece of property goes with the property that Mr. Williams wants to purchase, and it doesn't necessarily go with the whole Reset property. If Mr. Reset were to develop the frontage property, which is on Park Road, he would have to put his own infrastructure in. So what we're trying to do is help manufacturing facility come to our community, which will be adjacent to our industrial park. One of the things that I have asked to be drafted into the sales and disposition agreement is that this property, along with this ownership, that they have to abide by the covenants of the industrial park.
A couple of questions. Did Bill sign off on the WPCA with the right of way interfering with that? Is that settled yet?
I am in conversation with Jerry at this point. He reviewed the map, but he was looking at the...
Okay, but I mean, has that been settled yet?
He is contacting Mike Blackmer and Scott to make sure that the 12-inch main does not run through there. If it does, it would be on an easement itself, and this sales agreement would also have to say that we retain, and it's in the resolution, that we retain easement rights to that property for any of our infrastructure.
So no infrastructure will be built over the 12-inch main, I would assume.
We would always have access to that easement, just like we do throughout the industrial park. Any utility easements, we have access to.
Very good. Further questions of Delphi?
Delphi, just curious real quick, Mr. Williams' access will be through our industrial park, is that
Correct.
correct? Okay, and
Through
there will
Ridge
be no
Road.
access back out to
Correct.
Park Road at all?
That is the responsibility of Mr. Reset, and this is also contingent that Mr. Reset files the subdivision before the town meeting with the town clerk's office.
So Delphi, in effect, we need a motion this evening to have the Board of Selectmen approve the sale of the property pending other boards and commissions.
And the town meeting.
And the town meeting.
Right.
With the covenants, right? With the-
Correct.
And with the covenants.
So moved.
A motion, would I have a second? A motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. You can? July?
Unless you have that special meeting.
Would that be enough time for the WPCA to do
We
the
can't do it in a special.
I don't believe we can.
Oh, okay.
Park Wednesday.
No, that's right, we're on and off.
Well, the planning commission has to meet anyway, so
Yeah.
it's June 24th,
So-
so I asked go to both the planning commission and the board of finance.
Our next Board of Selectmen's meeting is July 13th or 13th? 15th? Yeah, 15th, that's right. So we bring it up at that point.
Do you want to set it for that date?
Let's set for that date. We need a motion to that effect, Denise?
Yes.
Need a motion to set town meeting date for July 15th.
So move.
Have motion and second discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item F, Delphi, I guess I'll bring you back up here. Consideration and approval of a certified resolution to accept further funding to expand the Dr. Robert R. Johnson Community Garden, Rhodesville, AKA Rhodesville Garden. And Delphi, I just wanted to say one thing, that recently passed the garden. I was very impressed with what I saw. It is quite a community effort now.
It is. It is, and I think that the gardeners, and it's really made up of compilation of both families that live in the neighborhood, families that live outside the neighborhood. We have Day Kimball Hospital, who has adopted a bed. United Services has adopted bed. So it's kind of a great mix, and I know that at our last meeting where we had the gardeners together just to talk about concerns that we may have in future plans, that kind of thing, we adjourned the meeting, and I went by about an hour later because I actually took a walk around the neighborhood, and many of the people were still sitting there on the handicap bed just talking. So, I mean, that's
It's a
clearly the
community-
spirit of a community
Yeah.
garden. So it was pretty exciting to see.
It is.
We received this grant probably 5 years ago, and we did not expend all the funds because, well, clearly I'm not going to spend the funds just to spend them. And one of the largest expenses would have been the fence to be around it, and we did not want to expend that much funding. Instead, we put berry bushes. We do have a problem with dogs in the area, so we are going to have to put up some kind of fence. So I did contact Dave Steiger when we finished the report and asked him, since we had the garden, because the garden was full and we actually have someone on a waiting list, would it be possible to expend that additional $10,000 down? And he did get permission for that. We do have to sign a new assistance agreement, and we have to have the 35% in-kind match. And I know that with the first round, our Public Works Department was instrumental in doing some of the bulldozer work, because when the elderly housing complex was there were pieces of concrete left, even though they tried to clear most of it out. We did some borehole testing, and it was just too many big rocks and concrete pieces. So, and actually, this community is an unbelievable community because things that we thought we would have to expend some funding on, things were donated. Dirt was donated, that kind of thing. So we do need, in order to expand the garden, we have to cut down 2 trees that are that are not in the best of health anyway. And what we would like to do is we remove trees to expand the garden. We'd like to plant some new trees, because even trees have a life expectancy. So what I'm asking is for the resolution this evening to expand the community garden and extend those funds.
So moved.
A motion and a second. Further discussion.
One discussion, is any of the money going to be used for a fence still?
Yes, we have to, because
Stuff from.
yeah, it's, you know, some, you just can't legislate. Yeah, it's gonna be a small one, just mostly to keep small critters out of it. Yeah. But many people do clean up their dog, after their dogs, some won't.
Yep. I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Item H is consideration of the appointment of Bruce Fitzpack as the Animal Control Officer for Putnam for a term. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Consideration and approval. Item G, consideration and approval of grand opening citation for Charter Oak Federal Credit Union. What would be your pleasure? So moved.
Second.
Have motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, so carried. Now, item H, consideration of the appointment of Bruce Fitzpack as the Animal Control Officer for Putnam to a term to expire on June the 30th, 2014.
So moved.
A motion, do I have a second? A motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried.
You should send them over to that guy and get rid of them.
That's a good move, John. Item I is accept the resignation of Republican Sherry Socher from the Putnam Arts Council. I understand that Sherry is retiring. What would be your pleasure?
So move with a letter. Appreciation.
Absolutely.
Second.
Yeah. I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item J is Putnam Facility Study Group. Anything further?
All I know is that I think their charge has sort of come to an end, or their thinking is that with the recent passage of the Putnam High School project, that some of the
duties and assignments
the space issues here at Town Hall would be resolved, and that the library will be coming to the Board of Selectmen with a proposal at your next meeting in July, that they want to get some guidance from the Board of Selectmen as to moving, continuing further as the facility study committee.
Do you think, Doug, we have that further information about the Concord Street property and whatnot coming up, that we could continue to charge for yet another month?
Or at least through to...
At least, yeah.
They don't run out till October, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I know that Alan wanted to, if he wanted to come from the board and talk to the board, so we have to schedule him.
Yeah.
So your feeling is continue to have them consider some of these issues.
I think we'd like to do that. Item K is approval of bills. What would be your pleasure?
Make the motion, we pay all the food bills.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. All other business lawfully come before such meeting.
I think you should grow one of your big pumpkins up there, Pete, show them how to grow pumpkins. The second thing is, could we just have the auditor come before us next selectmen's meeting and discuss the audit? So we can see if, he's gonna be on time and, so we don't run into the same problem.
I think I can have them come before the Board of Selectmen, but the
Still-
Board of Finance has had a discussion with the auditor. And I don't know, they felt comfortable, they hired him. If you'd like, I'll have it done.
Well, I just think it'd be,
I just think it's redundant at this point, though, Barney. I think it's kind of redundant. They've talked with the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance seems to be happy with the agreement they have with the auditors at this point. But I can have them come in.
I talked to the auditor, and he said he's very comfortable coming in front of the Board of Selectmen, and most towns he does deal with the selectmen.
I'd be, happy to do that. I just happened to attend the Board of Finance meeting, and he seems to have answered all the questions. I'll have him. I'll try and get him for our next meeting, John.
I'd like also, if possible, if we can get a letter from the town's attorney on this next vote on the mediating. That's all we did have a vote.
You want us to review it with the town attorney is what you're
I'd
asking
like
for?
to just say what we're about to do is legal.
I think are you questioning the fact that it was not legal the last time also? Is that, no?
I'm questioning the fact that we made a vote, the vote was done, now we're doing another vote within a couple of months.
We made a vote under the proper standard,
Yeah.
but
I just need some clarity from the
Yeah.
attorney would be good.
Yep, we can do that, John.
Are we gonna set up a day for this week to have this special meeting?
Yes, I'm going to call a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Doug, can you give me a timetable?
Wednesday, WPCA,
Yeah.
American Legion, Quality.
Wednesday would be too soon.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday? Thursday at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock?
I can't be here, but I can't be here for a couple of weeks, so.
6 o'clock on Thursday, we're in Brooklyn for the interstate reliability.
I'm out of town for a winter now.
So you have to be there at 6
I
o'clock.
leave Wednesday morning. And I have meetings Wednesday night.
Can we make it
I can't
early?
go there.
Have we advertised?
24 hours.
I would imagine it has to be posted.
How about if you guys do that tomorrow and you can get the dates out tomorrow?
Okay.
I can get it early.
Yep.
If I can get it at 5 o'clock or something like that, you know.
5 o'clock on Thursday?
No, I'm just saying,
5 o'clock?
5:30?
That's too early.
5:30?
He needs an hour to be.
6.
It'll be up
That's
to
the
you.
latest, 6.
If I'm a few minutes late, that's fine.
6.
Yeah, that's
Why
not a
don't
big
we,
issue.
why don't we just make sure everybody's on the same page?
Thursday,
Thursday at 6, I can,
Tentatively,
6
And then
p.m.?
we-
but it's gonna be quick anyways, but
Yeah.
Thursday,
I just
I
don't
can
wanna
make it.
have people come back and not be able to come back, and then we'll have, I want everybody here that can be here.
Yeah.
Dick, can you
That's
be
fine
here
with me.
Thursday?
If I need to.
Alma, 6 o'clock?
I should be able to be, yes.
I can make it. Owen can make it.
At 6, I can make it. Well, that's 15 minutes.
Thursday at 6 p.m.
When can you make it?
I can, if.
When can you make it work? That's the word.
Touche.
And I apologize, Pete, if I wasn't already scheduled to be in court actually this coming week, and if I didn't have a court appearance and meeting scheduled this week, I would be here,
You can
but.
drive all night. You know it's only 2
But I can't be in two places at the same time.
Item 13, public comment. Would there be any yes, Steve?
Yes, Bob Garcel, 110 Grove Street. Am I to understand that the meeting that will be holding on Thursday, you're going to reconsider the
Waiting for the building permit
Okay,
fees.
one comment I'd like to make. What really bothers me about all of this, along with the permit issue, is the OSHA complaint. I've never seen that in all my life here in Putnam, involved in politics, where someone has a real desire to screw this project up so bad that they filed anonymous complaints, unsigned, on this project. That would be like me filing a complaint against you, John.
Are you saying I made that complaint?
No, that would be just like me filing a complaint, an OSHA complaint on you and not signing it and just coming up with something, out of the air, or even Mr. Cutler here, all right? That is just totally uncalled for. You let the process take care of itself. With the OSHA complaints, I have a real big problem with that. I think it's unfounded. I think it's just, it's gutless for those people, whoever's doing it. Sooner or later, if they keep on doing it, their name will get out, somebody's gonna let it slip, and everybody will know who's done it.
Well, I can guarantee you, and I can sit here with no problem and say, if I put in a complaint, I have the balls in plain English to put my
Bingo.
name.
I believe
Bingo.
exactly. And I would do the same thing.
Okay, so you know the way I am, Bob. If I got something to say to you, it's gonna be right there.
Further public comment. Thank you, Bob. Steve.
Steve Smith, 125 Five Mile River Road. In Mr. Cutler's report, he was talking about, he was happy with getting all the approvals for the regional industrial park. Is it regional? And if it doesn't go regional, do you have to get all those approvals again? Do you have a regional industrial park now, or is it a Putnam industrial park? My question.
We have ongoing conversations about it being regional, Steve.
No, that's not my question. Is it a Putnam park now, or is it a regional park?
Regional Park. Regional Park.
Who's in it with us?
We're having conversations with Utah at this point, Steve.
How, if you're having conversations, you don't have anybody yet, correct?
I don't think that I can have that conversation with you, Steve, at this point. I
Oh,
would
Peter,
suspect that
is it
those
black or white?
negotiations are private.
Everything you have is great. Is it black or white? I just asked you a simple question. Has anybody
I'm giving you
signed
a
on to
simple
the park
answer.
besides Putnam? Yes or no?
We are negotiating with a couple of other towns at this
So
point.
right now it's a Putnam Park,
That's
correct?
my answer, Steve. You want to read something further into it than
No,
that?
I just asked clarity.
I've given you clarity. Delpha.
May I approach the Board of Selectmen, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
I've only been in business since '71, this is the first time I've been through this.
I would just like to bring up a couple issues with the 88 Main contract. And I know that Mr. Rose has eloquently stated as long as he doesn't have a heart attack over there. When that contract was written, the first addendum, and you gentlemen are absolutely correct, the addendum was the one because a question was asked in the bidding process through the first site plan, through the first site walk, is this a tax exempt and will the building fees be waived? In the first addendum, it said, yes, this is a tax exempt project and the building fees would be waived. Not knowing that a policy existed at all, I assumed, and I will throw myself under the bus, is that this was a municipal project. That's what I stated at the last selectmen's meeting, and that's what I felt, that this is a municipal project. I know that, for instance, when the school roof project came, it did not come before the Board of Selectmen. And I think that, you know, with the leadership in this community working on clarifying what the policy is, Barney, I have to agree with you. If we have a policy, we should be following the policy. I'm a rule follower, but I have to know what the rules are in order to play. When I wrote that addendum, I was under the assumption that the $350,000 was a municipal job, and that's what I asked for clarification. That was a mistake on my part. I was wrong in that assumption without finding a policy out there. In some of the things, in fairness to all of the other people in this community who have paid building fees, when we talk about some of the HUD projects for some of the housing rehab, when in the policy it has 5 criteria, and again, the Board of Selectmen would probably be voting based on those five criteria. Do the projects follow the 5 criteria? When Mr. Smith mentioned about Carville Falls Mill being a project, and that would be a big project to have those fees waived. That project is not a grant that requires a building permit from my office. So that would be a moot point. To the HUD projects for housing rehab, it states that the building fee itself has to be under $1,000. Those HUD projects would all be, they would have to be over $1,000. Those HUD projects, that building fee would be under $1,000. So in the leadership's ability to make decisions on these projects, they should be under those 5 criteria. Barney, I agree with you on that. So it was my mistake. It was my assumption that the grant came to the town of Putnam, the mayor signed off on it, that was a municipal project. I know the difference now. If there should be some clarification in the policy as to what a municipal project is it based on town-owned, not privately owned? Is it based on, does the grant go through the municipality? Is that considered a municipal project? Again, I would play by the rules, just tell me what the rules are. So I apologize. I apologize to Mr. Rose, Mr. Dexter, as to that clarification that it is assumed not to be a municipal project. It satisfies you.
I mean,
So-
everybody makes mistakes, I don't have a problem. I just, in my own mind, the justification of people is still paying their permits, you know what I'm saying? I would just like to see municipal, and then we wouldn't have to deal with these problems.
However, the leadership came up with this policy in the past.
I don't know how they got it.
Well, there were probably good reasons for it at the time. Whether those reasons change, I don't know. That was 15-something years ago.
That's why
However,
I would just like to.
when you say that I overstepped my bounds,
I think that it's nice to hear you say, yeah, I made a mistake, that's it, it's over, I'm done with it.
Years ago, the selectmen always used to get along on it, we never had a problem.
Hey, all I say, I tell you, charter, policy, that's all I care about. Other than that, I don't have a problem.
as long as we all
Because I'm
follow
not-
the policies.
I made a mistake when I said I voted to bring an investigation. I said that I was wrong, that it needed a 2/3 vote, I had to put it on the agenda. I know, after I thought about it, I knew I made a mistake. I said, hey, I made a mistake. Okay, I don't have a problem.
I will clarify any future project now, whether it's considered a municipal project or not, because I still don't think we have that clarity. So,
If I may, Keith, thank you for saying this. Personally, I still wonder whether all the fault was with your office. And I don't mean Mr. DeRose or Mr. Dexter. I think the town was very much in favor of this project as a whole, and I think there may have been a lot of lack of
there are
clarity.
99 people who,
Yeah.
99% of the people who want to see this project. It is the best thing for the town. We all know that. We have a homegrown boy who is willing to take on that project when any of us would not have taken on that project.
Exactly.
So kudos. I'll throw myself under the bus
Exactly.
anytime for that.
And I thank you
My
for
dad,
doing that.
my dad taught me a great lesson. He said, always take the high road. And I will always take the high road.
Thank you, Delphi.
Thank you for that.
So,
Just
Thursday
to
is-
clarify something.
Thursday
Renee,
is fixed.
and you at the Board of Finance meeting kept telling me that this was done years ago.
The project was started years ago.
No, that's not what the discussion was. The discussion was the fee waiver. It was
The
never
fee waiver-
in place. You kept saying that was waived a long time ago, and it wasn't. It was waived
There
recently.
was discussion of it well before, in the beginning
But it
stages
wasn't
of
on the
it.
paperwork, is what I said.
But-
No, but there were discussions, pre-mayorhood
Yeah.
of that being but none of that matters at this point.
Well, I
That
think it
was-
does,
that was
because
ano-
it was-
Well, that was another assumption I was under, but I think now that I know the policy, it comes before the.
The issue that I have is it was a promise that was made
I wasn't
pre.
assumed, I was told.
There
you go.
It was a discussion that was had previous to this mayor.
Right.
With the parties involved, and that was a discussion that was made and promised, and it's kind of not right for a new board to take away a promise,
And
whether or not.
unfortunately, the people that are paying are
Exactly.
Mr. Dexter and
Yes.
Mr. Rose, because every minute that scaffolding is up, it's
It's
costing
money
them
then.
money.
It's
It's
money.
not costing you and I money
Right.
unless we go to court. So,
And that's.
Plus, I was wondering if it's not on the tax roll yet.
exactly.
Be delayed, so-
That's a great point. It's
Yeah.
not on the tax roll.
Yeah.
No, it is on tax roll.
Yeah, but not at
Not at that
not at a
point.
big,
Yes, sir.
not at 10 million.
I don't get yogurt here, they won't let me there.
Yeah, is this the same for you as Killington Commons?
Same one with a different idea.
Awesome.
If I could address the board.
Bruce, if you
First
could
of all,
state your full name
sure.
and address,
Bruce
please.
Wayne Dexter II, 460 Raymond Hollow Road, owner of 88 Main Street, Putnam. Well, first of all, I want to thank the board for their vote tonight, and I'm sure that the vote on Thursday will be favorable to keep this project moving. And I'm very thankful to the people that are in this town that have worked hard, the people that have worked for the town to keep this thing moving. But I want to go on record and talk about something that happened through this process, okay? You know, I know Delphi gets a lot of flack here and there. She has apologized for things she's done, but first of all, this project would not have happened without her, not even close. Delphi was more instrumental in my wife and I purchasing this project than the realtors and Chris Marks selling it to us or anybody. And it was her vision and her dream, which is the reason Putnam was in the top 5 towns, and pretty soon it will be number 1. And that's our goal. We hope we can help get it there. But Mrs. Berry called me, and anybody wants to hear the message, I have it saved on my phone, during this process, and said that she would actually take out a personal loan to pay for this building permit fee, because she felt responsible and felt terrible about this. And I don't think there are many people that work for a town that would do the same thing, and she wasn't kidding. She was very serious about that, and she wanted to see this move forward. But of course, I said, no way, that's never going to happen. They'll let you do that.
Of course, I didn't tell my husband either.
So Jason, you can't say anything.
Sounds like my house.
So again, I'd like to see this town continue with good momentum, stay under the law of the big mo, and work together. Thank you.
By the way, Dexter, I did pay for a carpet as a selectman, and it cost me $3,600. I took it out of my pocket because I made a mistake, just for your info. And I haven't lived it down in 15 years.
Item 14, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn, so moved.
All those in favor say aye. So carried.